So Milan, what are we talking about today?
Today we will talk about electromagnetic ripples. So, electromagnetic ripples, mostly they are damped oscillations. But for electromagnetic, actually I will speak now about my work with coils and capacitors. When I was still in project with hydrogen production, I tried to improve by using the coils, and I came to 2001. I came to two design, if I can say like this, that I work with. One was on the beginning, in the springtime of 2001. Second one is about December. So it was like this. The first one was like this, bipolar coils in any ratio, where I connect to AC source, high frequency, like this. So it is, let's say, source high frequency, low voltage, and with those two ends open. It is very similar, not the same, but very similar, like this. If I will use, then I have bipolar. So if I will connect on both ends capacitor and connect like this, and those two I can use forward for load. Because if I will make full I wanted to apply stress to the coil. If I use capacitor like here, then it will release the coil. So we should put in consideration the capacitance between two turns. Let's say this is 100-meter cable, double. And there is a capacitance between them, so which means that that's why it's very similar to that. If I have over here 10 volts input, over here I can get easy on resonant frequency, I can get easy about 200 volts AC. And this sine wave looks like this. So actually this is 10 volts, which is always add to second part. So okay, so it's like this. So it's got 10 volts. And in that case, let's say it will draw about 0.3 amps. 0.3 amps from the source. But if I will make short connection on three ends, then it will withdraw about maybe 15 milliamps. So I found this interesting, and I tried to use that for electrolyzer, but because I work with brown gas generator, which are on 200 volts, 220 volts. So this one looks okay to me, but if I will use, it depends of resistance. If I will apply, let's say, to it, actually it was a test before I connected to the electrolyzer. So then I used like this, like driving. So it was like this. It went to bridge rectifier and to the capacitor, high voltage capacitor. Over here is low voltage AC source. It could be push-pull as well, which means half H bridge. So it is source, it is bridge rectifier. Then in that time I did one, so I'm charging this, it was about 470 microfarads capacitor. Then I put small spark gap, and over here I put bulb for 220 volts. It was very hard to tune on 200 volts spark gap, but it was possible. And I got from 10 volts like this. The coil was much smaller. The coil was much smaller than this one as well, size. The coil was 2 times 500 turns on ferrite core, and the wire was 0.45 millimeter copper wire diameter. And every time when it's reached about 200 volts and discharge, there was flash from bulb. I published that on forums, which I was the member. It was Killinet and Jean, I think, on now, no then. And when I published that, Don Smith, which I didn't know then for him, sent me without saying before nothing. I just received from Don Smith book and CD and good wishes for my future work. And I respond to him, thank you, and we never contacted forward. But also, not directly, John Bedini, Jerry Decker was owner of Killinet forum and website, and John Bedini many people was thinking he was retired, and maybe it was his first appearance after his silent period, and he sent on forum to Jerry Decker and said, Jerry passed that to Milan. And he explained what I'm doing, so, blah, blah, blah. And then I respond to Jacker and Jacker to him, but it was on public. And later, Jerry asked from John to join directly, to not use him. So it was period before, until John Bedini was waiting for his patent for charging battery through capacitor. Very similar. But to be honest, it didn't finish well. On the end, I didn't like John Bedini. He didn't like me. I'm not saying that I'm right. just seems that it it didn't work in communication with him. Maybe because of me, maybe because of him. No matter. Also, Joseph Newman, I was surprised that he sent me regards through emails. He informed me his latest results, testing, and basically it is that. So many people notice this. I'm looking back, I don't know why, because for me, I think maybe because of that part. This part is classic from century. It's very common. So, and what I found on the first moment, it looks like paradox, but it's not. Charging capacitor like this will be faster if I will put here or here, no matter, resistor about in 100 ohms, let's say 150 or 220 ohms, let's say 220 ohms, will be faster, which on the first look, it looks paradox, as I said, but it's not, because if it is open end, it consumes 0.03 current, 0.3 amperes, and in short connection it's about 15 milliamps, 20 times less. Inserting a resistor, then I keep but charging capacitor is problem on the beginning when it needs a lot of energy. So by inserting a resistor, I'm keeping some useful current much higher between 0.3 and 0 or 0, okay, 0 to be, okay. So keep in, that's why it's faster. But if I will put in kilo ohms range, it's not good. Then I try to get much higher voltage of 200 volts, and I develop it forward. It's maybe better to say like this. Then I put 4 coils, quadrupole. It could be 3 trifoil. So let's say this one will go on the source, like before. But those, and they are 3 ends. But if I will connect this one and this one, it will not be good. It will not give good results. So let's say, then I will put the diode here. Over here, just a moment, I will put in opposite direction. Yeah. And I will take from here. So those, so now only 2 we have left, 3 hands, and it will be my high voltage output. Okay, like this. But what is important here, I will always have 200 volts sine wave, like I described before here. But when I do that, then it will offset, so 200 volts will be in DC range now, let's say positive. So which means from here to here, it will be 400 or 600 volts. So which means that I make shift up, offset, and it's work for high voltage was very good. Then I play little forward. That one was really good progress. Because I try to avoid short connection. So if I will put some low resistive load, it will not work. So I needed to avoid this short connection. So then I made forward, because before I was working with single wire transmission, so I have some experience with that. So let's back again. It is my source. Then I will keep this end, let's say, open, and I will do that so-called Avermenko plug or half bridge. And over here to use capacitor or resistor, resistive load. Why I came to that idea? Because if I noticed before when I played with, let's say, if I will have a third coil and put completely parallel here with this one, and over here I put, in that time wasn't LED popular like now. At that time I used bulb for light torch, small bulb, incandescent bulb on the 5 volts. And I got some light with LEDs today. Today you can test like this. So see that they are going parallel, but still they have voltage difference. So today you can do with LED in alternate connection because of AC, and you can get proper light if you don't make coil well. It was because of that I use this let's back to with diodes. So now I approach to ripples. And be like this. Then I inserted coil here, and over here I have load. To understand this, I can put the same size of the coil here, but this coil L3, let's say L3, L1, L3, is not on the same core with this one, not in inductive connection coupling with this one. Let's say over here that I have a bipolar with where each coil is made by 100 meters of wire. So it's you can test alone. Let's say take any, let's say 100 meters, and you can on single layer to be easy, one layer. Put that on one terminal of function generator, another could be, let's free. And this one load with some capacity. Okay, this one put on the ground. It is function generator on high frequency. And it's 100-meter wire, and put some capacitive body. Some body like elevated capacitor. If it is 100-meter quarter, lambda quarter will be roughly, in reality, about 200 kilohertz. Because 100 meters is 4 times higher. And if you put like this, bipolar, it is almost 10 times less, which means the resonant frequency will be about 25 kilohertz. Almost there. It depends of thickness and the distance type of the electric and so on. But it reduces resonant frequency to 10 times less. Let's imagine that this all three are on the 100-meter wire. So that means that this one will be about resonant frequency about, let's say, like I said, 25 kilohertz. But this one will be about 200 kilohertz. So because I separate by diode, what will be? Then I will have damped oscillation from that one, so, and it is the ripples which I'm talking about, and like tuning fork and stuff. So basically about this we will say, now I will say about this, and I will shift to another coil, then I will back to this one again, because later I combine both of them. What I also notice, the coils like that one, sometimes charging capacitor or driving load very powerful, sometimes not. So it means that it's depending of condition in ambient, not spooky conditions, I mean ordinary electrostatic conditions. And okay, second coil which I developed was like this. At that time, it was 100 bipolar made by 100 meters coil, and I put the diode here, and second diode here, and I put my DC load, and it was brown gas generator. Input was 24 volts, and brown gas designed for 24 volts. Then from this point, I will go over here, and this from here will be go on electronic switch. Actually, it is on the MOS, but even I'm I mean drawing of transistor. It was easy, so it is oscillator. So, and this is go on the also on the. With this simple design, I got the best gas production ever. I think that time I was thinking that I got for 2000, pardon, for 2.7, 2.8 watts for 1 liter of gas. But today, to be honest, I think that maybe I wasn't equipped then well, like today, and maybe some wrong measurement. So maybe what I said, maybe it's not 2.7, maybe it's higher, but anyway, it was the best ever. But over here, this dial, let's say, that is in unpleasant condition, and it will be very hot. So how it works? So it means that if it is source, okay, it is source, through this coil, let's say L1, L2, through this coil, through diodes, and goes directly. So when transistor, MOSFET or transistor is not on, when it's off, it is go DC, completely pure, no oscillation. When it's on, that its current split is still continue, and current splits to that branch and this branch to coil, and then when it's off, then back EMF push forward, and that's why it's cannot hear close to that. But I found it's very important to find impedance of this circuit. So let's say for electrolyzer, which I use here, instead mostly for electrolyzer are using 30% of sodium hydroxide, a little less of potassium hydroxide, which I didn't use. So it's for normal use is 30% sodium hydroxide, but for this circuit I use 10% only, because to get impedance. What I also notice that it doesn't work good like buck converter or booster. So which means if I will go to 12 volts, it's not good because high current will go there. If it is boost, which means that if I go to for 36 volts electrolyzer, then higher current will go here, so it will not be efficient like when it's go 1-to-1, so called. But later I try to use this circuit for something for AC. So in that case, I do not need this diode, and so it was so it was capacitor here. So I use that like inductor, oscillator. So what this means, it will charge capacitor immediately but when it's energized, it will discharge, but not completely. So it will be some offset all the time. Then I make decision to use like for something like high voltage transformer or Tesla coil. So it's my secondary. And this so what? Let's say I made Tesla coil. The first Tesla coil which I made with this system was on the 300 diameters, 300 millimeter diameter, plastic diameter, plastic tube. I made use 100 meters of coil, 0. I think that it was 0.6, maybe 0.45, as like I said before. So it is secondary. Around that, I use 15 turns, so which means it was, I don't know how much turns was here, but I gave you major number. That's 100 meters and 300 millimeters. So you see, and it is secondary, but primary was bifilar, like here, with 15 turns. 15 turns. And capacitor was 150 nano. It was 150 nano, and that capacitor in this gives extended oscillation and boost amplitude. So it was much better to use Tesla coil like this than it's copied, so it's usually the same. Then I wanted to apply higher current. Higher current, then again from secondary, so I will not copy this one. I will not copy this one. So from secondary, I use one end for with diodes. And the same. Then I use 25 meter water coil, and I use bulb. And from here I have some capacitive body elevated. That one was on the ground connection. Also, so what I noticed with that one, talking about that ripples. My power supply was 24 volts, like I said, and it was ordinary transformer to 24 volts, and I have bridge rectifier. And I had 22,000 microfarad capacitor for filtering, and it goes to driver. When I measure the voltage across bulb, sometimes it was battery to charge, sometimes it was electrolyzer, single cell electrolyzer. Then when I disconnect power, not here of driver, when I disconnect from grid, So which means for a while capacitor was the only source in that for a while to drive this one. Then when I disconnect, I measure double voltage on the load. So it seems like swing and suck from capacitor and die. Then I said, wow. Then I tried to replace this with battery. It didn't work. So we do not use capacitor, just to use battery to see can I get this double voltage for a few seconds. Actually, 1 second maybe. It must be like this to be capacitor for a while. So which means that I can do that without this, just to replace, to have, let's say, battery and have switch in capacitor and this setup. And if I do that, I will get peaks here, exactly, because what I also did, because when it's on, the coil, it goes like this to that body to collect charge in this elevated body. When it's opposite, then it's go back, and stop, and then back EMF continue and make one turn more. So that I made over here wrong. And so when it's discharged, that it discharges here. So I placed third diode here to make it shorter for one diode for back EMF. So it makes some boost. By the way, this circuit from the beginning, I suggested for driving electrolyzer. When Jean-Louis Naudin tried to make a replica of Steinmeier, and I suggest to him to use this circuit to try with that, and he published that, and with notes that by using this circuit, he got more similar voltage shape across the cell, like Steinmeier step charge was, and he noticed that electrolyzer cells actually was much colder. I will put link in description. It was just so. Also, I noticed if this coil is made by spaced turns, so it's not stuck together, also gives some boost. I said that from here I'm going to capacitive body, but from secondary coil. From secondary coil, it is standard source, like I described. But if I use secondary coil on the same principle like this, it doesn't have to be all the way, but it could be identical, but it could be any, let's say quarter. If it is L, it is L quarter. And it acts like capacitive, more high body, and then you will get more power like this. So it's the same, just not to go to elevate body and go back to on the top of secondary coil, not on the bottom, on the top. And what I found, let's say, if I had several different coils. By the way, it should be always, when you work with high voltage, high frequency, try if you can with one layer of the coil, not like this one with many layers, because too many parasitic capacitance between, and you will get nothing. So imagine that you have the ratio of 1/2, 4, but could be any between. It is 3 layers, 3 different coils on the same tube. Again, it will be some of them self-resonance of L1, pardon, L plus L in this moment L2 plus L4 divide with around 10. So it will be self-resonance. It is just to give you information. But I think the best, what I call electromagnetic ripples, or I did the best proof when I work with electrostatic machine, where I work with up to 500,000 volts. Then I made capacitor actually by the coils. So let's say it is one coil and another coil will be smaller tube inside. It could be any tube. Let's say this one is 120. Go to 75, no problem. Number of photons is not important. So this is electrostatic machine, but it could be extremely high voltage transformer. It is the source. It is per gap for between 3,000 and 0.3 or 0 or 500,000 volts. It is about 5 to 7 centimeter per gap distance. So let's say you need to tune 5 centimeters. And it connects like this. Just to give you an idea, when I work with electrostatic machine, I connect on 2 copper rods, 1 meter length vertically, and I place them 1 meter away. And I charge, so it was my capacitor, 2 copper rods, 1 meter away. I was thinking it's almost nothing. I didn't put in consideration myself sitting, placing between them. So they have been about 1 meter from me, 1 meter between them. So I was in some kind of triangle. And when I charged by electrostatic machine, I felt of my face directly electric force directly on my face. I was so never think that it is weak force. So imagine. So that in this case it worked like capacitor until it's charging. See, it's not mistake. It is from the machine. Let's say it's go here and here it charge and have stress. It create the stress between these terminals of spare gap. But over here is ordinary 220 volts bulb. And again, we have the same distance, two spare gaps we have. It is actually, for me, to make switching and finish with that one. When we have, so we have stress here between them because it's still DC, so it's one direction. Stress here and stress here. I tried many times before without that to light and jar to discharge to 220 volts bulb by electrostatic machine. Nothing. Just a short connection. Nothing, even no white light inside of bulb. But when I do that, and when the stress is enough, and the first arc jump, let's say it's jump here, no matter where. So when it's jump here, so it's already energized the dead coils, and it produces back EMF, higher voltage, not high current, higher voltage back. So for in the, let's say, maybe 1 second or two, they're alternating. It will be arcs, and you will see flash, white flash inside the bulb. It is exactly electromagnetic ripples. So if someone has a condition to check this, you're welcome to ask for details. Basically about this is that I will explain one thing more. About 2005, I was asked again from the guy who worked with, actually Jean-Louis worked for him. Jean-Louis Modern worked for him, and in that time they asked me to make again one replica of what they are doing. The replica, what they are doing was, they called it TEP, time energy pump, but today we will call jellyfish. So it's simple. So it goes bipolar. We have capacitor and we have transistor. With this, over here is reversing diodes. Go to minus, and we source, source, as you go to source, go to resistor, and it's bipolar, like this. Small capacitor to the gate. Let's say it is BD, would be C. Capacitor and the source is, okay, the resistor. The source is also capacitor, high capacity. Let's say the source is 10,000 microfarad. Pardon, 10,000 microfarad. And the target is 10,000 microfarads. This one is 3K3 resistor, and this one is 10 nanofarads. L1 and L2 could be the same, and doesn't have to. But let's say L1 equal L2 equal, let's say 8 turns. It doesn't have, it could be many, it could be 8 turns as well. Because I was then in that time, in 2005, I was in the something which will become ACG technology, and I will not speak about that. It will be another video. And I was interested because if you start with 12 volts, if you start with 12 volts, the source capacitor is target capacity, CT. So C source is, let's say, 12 volts, C target is 0. And you stop this circuit. On the end, it will finish, and it will about 8.2 volts in each, which is more than half if you go directly. 8, but still not enough to be over than starting energy. And I made a replica what they are asking, but after that I continued to play with this because of this they had. And then I insert this extra coil, that technique which I described, and happened that I got more energy in the capacitor than it was starting. But for that I needed maybe 24 hours, even more or less, not below 10 hours. But for 10,000 microfarads is useless. And I have doubt that from where it comes. First of all, because we have the coil, we have capacitor, we have diode. We have 50 hertz over here. We have 50 hertz radiation around. And it could be that radiation could be answer why I got more energy than I start. But also, it's not that I got how it goes. On the beginning, this one is losing voltage, this one is getting voltage on the beginning. Then it's come to a period where they are almost equalized, and not always. Then we got that this one is recovery back, and this one is still getting back and getting more. So it could be that. Another reason could be that this transistor is about zero minimum voltage. I think that is about 0.3 volts. So when we got 0.3 volts between source and target, transistor is not working, and then the source capacitor start to recover, and this one is get over 0.3, and there's an energy again. So something, I was thinking that it is the answer, and because it's useless. But there was similar again to with extra coil that I got instant. And immediately, in a few seconds, I got more than I start. So in that case, either was a local sun transmitter on, but I don't think so. Maybe, still maybe. Or something else. But what I noticed, until let's say I found the circuit is working, additional, not it is basic. The additional circuit, it's working, gives more, and then I test again. It's seconds. Test, charge again, reset, charge again, until I do not change something, because I want to take more. And then it's not working, and when I return back, it's not working again. For a while, but let's say then maybe 10, 15, then pass, and again happen that it works. So when it's classic, then I know, they work one to one. Then it's easy to understand that it's, let's say, C start. It's better to go. Better gain in charge will be when source capacitor will be lower than target capacitor, but in that case the final voltage will be lower. And that transistor resistor 3K3 I increased to 330 kilo ohms, and then in the highest gain is on the beginning because of the curve. So when I switch on for 1 second or 2 seconds, when I switch the circuit with 300, then I collected more gain on the beginning in the target capacitor. So then I set up separately because I was conducting this experiment. Then I make this where I will just for 1 second switch on and off, switch on for 1 second this circuit, and correct. But this voltage will be 0 point something, useless. But the gain in charge will be the highest. Because I was busy with other in that it was there in that lab was other. I had three setups that I'm running parallel and control. And because it was for 1 second, I didn't have time always to. I leave it. Understand? I left it to sit 1 second on and off. Let's say if it is a ratio between capacitor, it was bigger, but let's say 1 to 2. So it means that on the end will be 4 volts, I think, in each. 4 volts in each. Or depends of ratio, if 10, blah, blah, blah. Then I notice after, let's say, 1 hour, whatever, when I check this with 330 kilo ohms, even if it's disconnected, on the end, it's finished to voltage in both capacitor, what they will have if they are connected all the time. Then I check ratio to see is it coincidence or not, but never it's coincidence in life. And always it finish after several hours, it finish like they will finish if they are connected all the time. But they trigger them for 1 second. To avoid this, then when I made 1 second, I disconnect this capacitor and that capacitor as well. And even I was extreme, one capacitor will put here, another will put there. The circuit is disconnected. After several hours, again, it will finish like they will finish if they are work. Then what if moment came to me, said maybe, what if they are just for 1 second receive information that switching for 1 second is just sending information and I disconnected and it is doing its job. But it works until I believed in that what if. Then start to work ordinary. I make a bit different. Sorry, what I tried, because what I used then was used capacitors. What we So they have not been virgin capacitor, if I can say like this. When I replaced them with not brand new capacitor, it didn't work like it was. But after many attempts, it started to work again like I described now. And there was something that, if it's very hard, it will be part of second video which will be after made about this, that I place them up here and here, and when 1 second and each day it can get in months to follow to check the voltage. Then I found that some cycle they are not connecting, but not cycle that follow room temperature or whatever. It is completely different. So actually it was just to give you something to watch next video, which we will make. Okay, that's it for now.
Till next time.
Yeah, next time.